Okay, can I give you some coaching real quick? Can I give you some coaching? Yes. Okay, you ready? This is a super cool trick, everybody. You're about to see me change her. Okay, here we go. Tell you what we're going to do. All right, so 0 to 10, how nervous are you right now?
I'm thinking like 11.
Okay, great. Can you describe what's happening in your body?
I'm warm. I'm getting sweaty.
Awesome. Are your pits starting to sweat now? Okay, yeah, she's getting warm under here, everybody. Yeah.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Okay, they're perfect. Just like keep moving them like you're dancing. Okay, great. What else is happening as you're an 11?
I can't stop smiling.
Okay, okay. Terrific. So like the anxiety and the nerves are through the roof?
No.
No.
Yes.
Okay, yes. Okay, see, she doesn't even know where she is. All right, great. So let's make it worse. Let's go on stage.
Okay.
Everybody give her a round of applause. Okay, here we go. Okay, come here. Okay. All right, 0 to 10. How nervous are you? Did it go higher?
Yeah, it did.
Okay, going higher, everybody. Do you have a neck rash yet? It's getting there. Yeah, I used to get that all the time. Yep. Okay, so I want you to just kind of look out and look at everybody. How many? Yeah. Great, great. Okay, so I'm going to teach you something really cool. You ready? Yeah. Your body doesn't know the difference, everybody, between nervousness and excitement. Okay. So tell me, who's your favorite band?
Nirvana.
Okay, so let's say, well, I realize Kurt Cobain isn't here, but if he were, and if they were playing, and you had a front row seat, how excited would you be?
Oh God, I'd be so excited. I'd be crying.
Yeah, and would you have a neck rash?
I don't know. Actually, I'd be sweating.
You'd be sweating? Yeah? Yep. Would your heart be racing?
Yeah.
Are those all the things that are happening right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so your body, everybody, has the same physiological response to nerves and excitement. Exact same. The only difference between you being able to see Nirvana and you standing here looking out at everybody else and you're the one on stage is what your brain is saying about it. So I'm going to teach you a really cool trick.
Okay.
So the next time you're nervous, just go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm so excited, and then say whatever you're doing. So start going. I'm so excited to be up here.
I'm so excited to be up here.
Say it again.
I'm so excited to be up here.
Say it again.
I'm so excited to be up here.
Say it again.
I'm excited to be up here.
Yeah, that's right. Let's walk. Say it again.
I'm so excited to be up here. I'm so excited to see everyone here.
Okay. So 0 to 10. How do you feel?
I feel great.
Right? It goes down, right?
Yeah.
So fear builds when you let it sit. It actually lowers the moment you move. And that's a little trick, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm so excited, that has been now researched at Harvard Medical School. And when you use it before an exam, you use it before like any competition, you use it before a speech, you use it before a big pitch, anything. I'm so excited to go in there. I'm so excited I worked so hard. I'm so excited I prepared for this. I'm so excited because regardless of what happens, I'm not going to die, right? And so if you say that, you take control of what's going on in your brain and your body pays attention, and you just look at how different she looks. Literally, she is calm. She's not freaking out. Like you are literally, you're doing the next keynote. I'm out. All right, so how do you feel?
I feel good.
Okay, great. So what was your question?
Okay, so I have big dreams, and sometimes they just feel like they're not quite out of reach, but they are. So I have a hard time, like my dream is to be a cougar.
A who?
Cougar.
Wait, a what?
A cougar.
A cougar, okay.
With lots of hot men around me in the beach, like.
Okay.
But that's like later.
Okay.
I got some years.
I have that feels like it's within reach. I don't know, right? Okay.
But so that's just for later. I'm talking about like career-wise.
Yeah.
It just seems like I'm stopping myself, or I'm so busy. I have 2 full-time jobs right now. Like I'm always on the run and on the go. I just don't know what I can do to get myself to do these other things, or what way to go.
Okay, so let's bring this. So now I'm going to coach you, and we're going to make it less kind of up in the sky and ground it in reality. What is the thing that you want to go pursue?
I just want to be the best I like I want my own business. I want
Great.
to be independent.
Great. So
I
you would
wanna
like your
move
own
out of my
business.
state, yes.
Okay, great. So let's start. So what do you want to do first? We're going to take them one at a time. Do you want to move out of your state first, or do you want to have your own business?
I think I want to move out of state first.
Okay, terrific. So I'm going to teach you guys how to use manifesting and goal setting properly, okay? Because so it's critical, everybody, to have huge dreams. And so I want you to turn to the person next to you and tell them what is something that you dream about doing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So for me, I dream about launching a podcast, like a big podcast.
I thought you said rockets. And
No,
I was like,
no. Step aside, Joe Rogan. Mel Robbins coming through. All right, great. All right, great. I'm just giving you a second. I'm giving you a second. So even if you didn't have a chance, all right, come on back, come on back. All right, even if you didn't have a chance to say it, I know you thought it. And so here's the difference between dreams and goals. Dreams are the beacon, right? It's the lighthouse. Goals are the brick by brick path that walk you toward it. Okay, you need big dreams because they pull you out of the stress of your day-to-day life, they raise your gaze, and they remind you of where you're headed. And if you don't know where you want to head, there's a simple trick that can help you figure it out. Number one, ask yourself, well, what do I not want? And move in the opposite direction. Number two, who am I jealous of? Jealousy is blocked desire. You are jealous of people because you think you can't have the thing that you feel called to have. And so if you are jealous of somebody, it means inside of what they're doing or how they're being, there's something that is meant for you. Like you can't be jealous of something you don't want. I'm not jealous of anybody that has a penthouse, for example, in Abu Dhabi. I don't want to live there right now. Don't even feel anything when I think about it. It's not meant for me. But when you think about the things that you want, that is a really clear directional signal from your soul that you are not giving yourself permission to move toward those things. So jealousy is just blocked desire. So you know you want to, that's the dream. And so what I want you to do is I want you to tell me what are 2 things that somebody who's preparing to move out of state is doing in their day-to-day life.
saving money.
Okay. And I guess by the expression on your face, you're not that great at that.
Well, I was, and then I came here.
Okay. Oh, that's okay. Guess what? This is going to be money well spent. You invested in yourself, okay? And you know how to save money. And so by being on this stage, you got plucked up here because it's time to get serious about this goal. Mm-hmm. And so, couple things. Here's how you're going to use science to train your body to help you lay those bricks towards moving. You are not going to envision moving to the new state. You are not going to envision your new apartment. You are going to envision the annoying, pain in the ass stuff you don't want to do in order to have that thing come true. So you will envision yourself not going out with friends on the weekend because you're saving money. You will envision yourself only putting things in the Amazon cart, but not actually purchasing them, right? You will envision yourself opening up bills and noticing, oh, great, like I'm slowly like saving what is one thing that you hate doing that you know you need to do?
Changing my litter box.
Oh, okay, that was not the one I was expecting. Related to money and saving money. Related to money and saving money.
Saving it. I've put whole paychecks in my savings account and it just hurts me a little bit.
Great. I want you to visualize and feel that it hurts. I want you to visualize that next paycheck going into saving and feel the like, and then I want you to say to yourself, I'm really proud of myself for doing that because that's going to help me go. Mm-hmm. And so for those of you, for example, that want to get in better shape, visualize walking in the rain because that sucks. And what happens when you visualize it and you feel it is you're training your body to expect that, which makes it more likely that you will take that paycheck and put it in savings, or you will keep walking as the rain comes because you've already mentally rehearsed this moment in your mind. This is the way that a team of 9 psychologists are training our Olympic athletes in the United States. This has deep research with it. So stop thinking about the state and start thinking about all the annoying little stuff you got to do right now, and you will be there before you know it. You got it?
Yes.
Good.
Oh my God.
Go do it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. I think the law of attraction and manifesting are the same thing. So law of attraction, for everybody who has not read The Secret, is simply your thoughts become things. And it's true. We've talked all about how when you have a negative self-talk, it tends to draw more of that to you. I think about it like lint in a dryer. Once negative stuff starts collecting, it collects a lot more. We can also talk about your brain filter, something called the reticular activity system, and how it is a live network that filters the brain. We'll dig into that deeper, but let's do surface level right now, manifesting law of attraction. So here's what everybody gets wrong about manifesting. Everybody, at least kind of in the mass market, what you're trained to think about when you think about manifesting is vision boards. And when you hear the word vision boards, you think about the big stuff. Should you have big dreams? Of course you should. Should you dream of building a mansion on the ocean if that's your thing? Yes. Should you dream of the log cabin? Yes. If you want a Lamborghini or the new Ford Bronco, should you? Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. If you want the family, if you want the body, should you think about? Yeah, absolutely. Here's where everybody goes wrong. You dream about the end. You make this gorgeous collage of all this stuff that has nothing to do with your current life. That literally, as you're sitting in your studio apartment with the cat box that hasn't been changed in 2 weeks.
No food in the fridge.
No food in the fridge. And you're looking for a job and you're staring at a mansion going, someday, it's going to make you feel like a loser.
Yeah.
Because the gap between where you are and where you want to go, it seems insurmountable. And so what happens based on the research is when you only visualize the end game, Lewis, it's demotivating. At first, it's really fun to like have a bottle of wine and make your like collage. I'm gonna visualize. I'm gonna slap this up. There's my vision board. This is fabulous. Law of attraction, baby. Come on. I'm gonna think about it. It's gonna come to me. Okay, I've been doing this for 2 days. I'm still in this apartment with the cat box that needs to be changed. The way to visualize properly is to visualize the bridge between where you are and where you need to go.
The bridge.
Yes, and particularly the horrible stuff. So let's use your example of the marathon. The vision board would be Lewis crossing.
With the arms up at the medal.
The arms up at the
Yes.
medal.
The
Exactly.
high fives.
High
Yeah,
fives.
I did it.
Yes, I did it. Exactly. That will not help you. Because when you hit mile 13 on the actual race and it is sleeting rain.
You're saying, why am I doing this?
Yes, and it feels nothing like that thing on your vision board. You're going to start a negative dialogue. I can't do this. My knees hurt. This is not what I thought it was going to be. I'm not ready for this. I didn't train for this. I'm running New York. I trained in LA. Are you running in New York?
LA.
Okay, good. Well, then at least you trained in the right weather.
Yeah.
So on and on and on, and you are going to tank yourself. What you do by visualizing the bridge is you train your nervous system and your mind to do the hard work. So you should visualize not crossing the finish line, but what is it like to be at mile 12 when your batteries run out on your earbuds?
Yeah.
No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
And you keep going. What's it like when your shoelace breaks and now your heel is lifting and you're starting to get a blood blister at mile 17? What's it feel like when you wake up and it is pouring rain and you visualize yourself running anyway? That way, when you visualize the work, you are preparing your body for it so you're not resistant to it when it comes.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
I think it's great. It's a story that I had George St. Pierre, who's one of the greatest UFC fighters of all time. He said that he always puts himself in the most uncomfortable situations in practice leading up to the fight. The hardest situations to get himself out of. When his arms are behind his back and he's face against the mat and in between the fence and he's just getting punched in the face. He's like, how do I get out of this?
Right.
He's like, visualize that and seeing how can I get through this?
Yeah, exactly.
When it seems like I just want to tap out.
Yes.
And instead of tapping out, what's the process for figuring out how to get through it?
Yeah.
To then raise my hand at the end victorious.
Totally. And so you are literally building up almost like this resilience and this muscle inside of you to do the work to get the thing. So yeah, create the vision board, but make sure in addition to crossing the finish line, you have somebody running in the rain.
Right.
You have somebody who, you have an alarm clock that says 5:13. You have, these images that show the stuff that you don't want to do. So like for people who want to launch a business, for example, like a lot of people that I'm sure follow both of us are dying to launch a business or interested in being an influencer, social media, or making money online. And what you visualize are the checks, or you visualize the money you're going to make, or you visualize how cool it's going to be when you're a lifestyle entrepreneur, whatever the hell it is. Don't do that. Visualize working a day job and telling your friends that you're not going to go out tonight because you're working on something.
Yeah.
Visualize making cold calls and being told no. Visualize not going to that party because you're staying in on a Saturday and not going to the barbecue because you're putting in the work.
Yeah.
Visualize sitting at a seminar and learning from other people. Visualize watching YouTube videos. Visualize your first ever course failing miserably.
Right.
Like literally, that's the sort of thing that you want to visualize yourself doing and pushing through, because that's going to help you do the work.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
I think that's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
visualizing. So in order to manifest what you want, don't just visualize the good things happening, visualize the bridge, all the things it's going to take to get
Yes,
there.
and the hard parts of the bridge, because then you're ready for it. Then you're like, I didn't expect this to be this hard. I mean, it's still going to be hard,
Right.
but you're less likely to quit.
Yes. So what have you done in the last 5 years to help you manifest after the first book? Were you doing this as well, or kind of once you get on a rhythm and build momentum, does it become easier to manifest in your opinion?
Well, so I am constantly training my mind to work for me. And there's this little trick that I talk about in the book that is all sort of the beginning of having a high five attitude. And a high five attitude is the ability to catch yourself when you're going mentally low and to flip yourself back up into a high five attitude.
Okay.
The thing that I know to be true is that you cannot control the things around you. You can't control what's going to happen. You can't even control how your nervous system might respond or what thoughts might pop into your head. But you can always choose what you do next and what you make it mean, right? And so that's where all the power is.
Yes.
And so I do this thing where this is, again, it's going to sound so dumb, but it's a way for me to introduce you to the power that your mind has to change in real time.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about negative self-talk. And part of the reason why negative self-talk is so crippling is not only because you've repeated it for so long and now it's a pattern, but it's also because you have a filter on your brain called the reticular activity system, okay? This puppy is the keys to everything. And it's remarkable that most of us have never heard of it. We've experienced it, but we don't know how to use it to our advantage. So first, let me tell you what the RAS does. Then I'm going to give you an example of when you've experienced it in your life. And then I'm going to explain to you how to use it to get what you want in life. This is like the super attractor manifesting, and it also works for interrupting negative self-talk. Like it's going to supercharge all the work you're doing with the mirror and interrupting thoughts. So first, let's talk about the RAS. So the RAS, imagine a hairnet on your brain, only it's like electric, meaning it's alive, okay? Now, the RAS has one job, and the job is block out 99% of what's going on and let in 1% of what's going on. Our brains at this moment in history are having to process about 34 days worth of cell phone data in one day.
Crazy.
It's crazy. And so your RAS has a monster job. It's like a bouncer at a bar. You're not coming in, you can come in. And you've experienced this. So have you ever shopped for a car?
Yes.
Okay, so what's the last car you bought?
Tesla.
Oh, Tesla. Oh, fancy.
Yeah,
Lewis House. I like that.
Well, I never had a nice car until 3 years ago. I had a $4,000 car for 5 years before that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? I have no Bluetooth. It's like, I just needed an upgrade.
No, I love it.
It was
You
a
deserve it.
1991.
Dude, you deserve it.
I had a 1991
deserve
Cadillac.
it.
And I was like, okay,
You
let me
deserve
buy
it.
a car. So I bought a Tesla, yeah.
Right. And so before you thought about buying a Tesla, you drive down the road, you don't really think about it. The second you're like, I think I'm interested in a Tesla, what do you see everywhere?
Teslas.
Yes, everywhere.
Everywhere.
My husband just bought a pickup truck. I'd never even noticed them. Now I'm like, there are baby blue pickup trucks everywhere. What is going on? That's the bouncer in your brain. And let me tell you how this works. There are only 4 things that automatically get through the bouncer in your brain, the RAS. Number 1, your name. So you've experienced being in a crowded place and somebody's like, you think you hear Lewis and you're like, huh? Somebody call my name? That was the bouncer in your brain. The second thing that always gets let in is any threat to your safety. So there are loud noises all the time, but only ones in close proximity make you go like this. That was the bouncer in your brain letting it in.
Okay.
The third thing that gets let in is when you sense that your partner is interested in sex with you or somebody else. You're like, Chris, who are you looking at? Stop looking at her. You know what I'm saying? You kind of pick up on the signals. That's the bouncer in your brain. And the fourth one, and this is the $1 billion thing that everybody needs to know. The bouncer in your brain lets in whatever you think is important to you. So when you get intentional about telling your brain what's important to you, like, I'm interested in a Tesla, your brain's literally like, oh, let all the Teslas in. Come on in. Here's the downside to this. If you have told yourself that you are a bad person for the last 10 years, guess what your brain thinks is important? Examples that mean you're a bad person.
Right.
So I'm going to give you a very specific example. So I personally don't think I'm a bad person. I don't think I'm perfect, but I know I do my best. I mean well. I don't have that story about myself at all. I used to, but I don't. And let's say I oversleep and I miss the dentist. I miss the dentist appointment. I'm like, oh, I got to pay the $25. I got to reschedule that thing. That kind of blows. That's all I think. And then I go on. My daughter, who constantly beats herself up and says she's a bad person, this is a real example, by the way. She oversleeps, misses a dentist appointment, and it becomes, see, I always screw everything up. I'm always messing things up. Like everything that gets let in confirms that you're a bad person.
She finds proof and evidence.
Yes, that's the bouncer in your mind. I'm here to tell you that when you get intentional about what you want to think about yourself, it changes in real time what your brain lets in and what it doesn't.
Yeah.
That helps you with the other things that you're doing. The high five in the mirror, the I'm not thinking about that, the pathetic mantra. Hey, just because I missed the dentist appointment doesn't mean I'm a bad person.
Yeah.
I'm doing the best I can here. Give myself a break.
Right.
High five. You know what I'm saying? Shake it off. Get back in there. It's true, right?
Right.
Because it's these little things. Somebody cuts you off. Somebody reaches for the last thing of cereal that you wanted to buy at the grocery store. You think it's like a sign that the world's out to get you. This is all your story and your mind skewing the world to prove all of the stuff you keep repeating. And the only way to get a handle on it is to start acting the opposite. Like high five yourself, even though you don't feel like it. Interrupt the crap that you keep saying. Put your hands on your heart and settle your body down.
Yeah.
All of these things are things that somebody does when they care about themselves, when they think they deserve to be treated with kindness, when they think they deserve support, and when they realize they need it. And when you start to build yourself back up, you'll show up very differently in other relationships.
Absolutely.
If you tolerate this kind of treatment from yourself, you'll tolerate it from other people. It does begin with you. I want you to start seeing something bigger. I know you're all successful. I'm talking about something really big for your life. And in order to do that, you have to answer this question. What do you really want? Now, I'm not talking about something small. I'm not talking about a little haiku. I'm not talking about renovating your kitchen. I'm not talking about signing on 10 new customers this month. I'm talking about what you really want. 3 years ago, I was a lawyer and a business coach working with private clients and big corporations all over the country. And I came to a seminar, just like this one, a big leadership seminar. And I went there with my husband. We're both business owners. And I went because I wanted to be more successful. And I went because I wanted to make even more money than I already did. And I was sitting exactly where you are. In fact, I was sitting about I don't know, 15 rows back, right where that woman with her hand on her thing, like, yeah, you? Yeah, she's like, hi. Was sitting, and I was taking notes, and I'm like, okay, I'm here to make more money. And then all of a sudden, she walked on stage. That is Martha Beck. She writes a column for Oprah Winfrey. She travels around the country speaking. She's a best-selling author. And when she walked on stage, I literally stopped listening. Please keep listening to me right now. And it hit me. I said, I want to be doing that. I'm ready for a bigger stage. Like, that's it. And what's so interesting about when you answer that question is that you don't answer it up here. You answer it here. That's how you see something bigger for yourself. You know, you guys are really cute because everybody's like, I don't see it. I don't see anything for myself right now. Now I'm just confused. I thought I knew what I wanted. You know, and now, Mel, I'm not really sure. And right now, the economy is so bad. I mean, it's so bad that even if you're successful, I know sometimes I feel embarrassed talking about my success around some of my friends because I know that they're really struggling. And I get calls every day into the radio show, people saying, oh, I've got this great idea, but I just don't know if it's the right time. And you know what I say to them? I say, yeah, you know, you're right. The recession, it's huge, you should wait. Those dreams, yeah, put them on hold. That's right. Yeah, you should stay in that job you can't stand just a little bit longer. You get college bills to pay. I mean, you know, what you're doing, it's fine. You're busy, right? That guy you're dating, he's good enough for you. But for the people in this room, baloney. You know, that's right. You know exactly what you want. And the only thing that you need to do is to admit it. Now, this may sound weird because I know most of you came in here because you're like, I know what I want. I'm here at Success to try to figure it out. I'm talking about something bigger, much bigger. I'll admit to you what it is that I'm up to. And the truth is, it's embarrassing. Because when you lock on to something way bigger than where you're at, it is downright embarrassing to tell people. Because you're not there yet. But I mean, at this rate, I've already admitted to you that I stalked Martha Beck and that I brought a haiku to the best, lit agent in the country, so I got nothing to lose at this point. So this is what I want. Well, not him. I'm married. I want what he's got. I want 600 radio stations. I want 2 million listeners. And I could certainly deal with the $400 million salary. In fact, if I got it, I'd renovate everybody's kitchen. And the thing is, though, that's so interesting about this is that I didn't pick him. I mean, I'm not looking to become a cigar-smoking, conservative, political guy that like stirs the pot and makes everybody all mad. I'm the liberal lifestyle gal that's trying to help people out. But what I want to do is I want to use radio to entertain people and help them achieve their dreams. And when I really think about it, he's the one that's in the front. I want to not only reach what he's doing, I want to surpass him. I mean, do you think I like it when my friends come over to my office in Boston at my house and they're like, what is that guy doing on your board? No, it's embarrassing. When you admit the big thing that you're up to, it's embarrassing. I have 40 stations. He's got 600. There's a big gap. So admitting where you want to get to is embarrassing, but you got to do it.
What we're going to talk a lot about today is we're going to talk about this principle that I believe. And the principle is this: profound personal and professional change starts with you. That's right. Profound personal and professional change starts with you. And change starts with you because the most effective change starts from the inside out. Okay? And so as you think about a behavior change or a thinking pattern change that you want to make, or some sort of goal or dream, I want you to take everything that I'm about to teach you and have that example in mind, okay? So that everything that I'm talking about isn't just stuff I'm doing in my life, isn't just stuff that you read about when you look at the research in terms of habits and manifesting, but that you actually walk away with takeaway that is specific to what you want to achieve, okay? So good. So you've dreamed with the lid off. You've written it into the comments. Now, let's start by letting me give you a hack. I'm going to share with you something that I'm working on right now, okay? So one of the things that I want to do is I want to drink less in my life. I have a habit, and I've had a habit for decades, of around 6 o'clock when I start cooking dinner, I typically will pour myself a drink. It's something that I enjoy. It's something that I do as a ritual to kind of end the workday and ease into being, in the more personal part of my life. And as I've gotten older, as I've started to understand more about my health, I thought, I actually don't want to be doing that every night. And so I would make this sort of promise to myself that I wouldn't have a drink, and then 6:30 would roll around, and next thing you know, I am mindlessly walking over to the cabinet where the gin is, and I'm making a gin and tonic. And it's not that I feel that I have a problem. It's that I was having a problem getting a new habit to stick. And so here is one hack that is based in science that is going to help you make any new habit stick. And yes, this is relating to manifesting. But what is this little hack? Well, this little hack is something that taps into what's called your procedural memory, okay? And let me tell you how you use the hack. So with that thing, that behavior change, I saw some of you writing down that you want to make more money, you want to stop procrastinating, you want health goals. Here is a hack that you can use using your procedural memory to make a new habit stick. All you have to do is you need to close your eyes and picture yourself step by step by step, practicing the new behavior or thinking pattern. So in my case, this is what it looks like. I close my eyes and I think, okay, I'm in the kitchen. I turn to my left and I can see the red clock and I visualize it saying 6:30. I feel the pull of the cabinet where the gin is, but I picture myself walking over to where the glasses are instead. And then I take a glass, and then I picture myself walking over to the fridge, and then I open up the fridge, and then I reach for the kombucha, and then I pull it out, and I grab a lime, and then I grab a soda water, I shut the fridge, and then I pour a kombucha, I pour a little soda water, I take the peeler, I peel the lime, so I get that neat little lime strip, and I see it twisting, and I see the little kind of, like when you twist citrus, it sort of like sprays that little stuff, and then I drop it into the glass, and I see myself picking it up, and I see myself sipping my mocktail. I don't even want the gin. This tastes delicious. You want to know something fascinating? Research that has been peer-reviewed shows that simply going through that procedure of the new habit or thinking pattern, step by step by step, by going step by step by step, you are locking in a new sequence in your procedural memory. And based on research, that one time that you do it makes it way more likely that when 6:30 rolls around, you are not going to drink the gin, you are going to make the mocktail. Now, why does this work? Well, the reason why this works is because you're using science to rehearse the new behavior or the new situation or the new thinking pattern and to encode it in your brain before you actually do it. And when you use your procedural memory to rehearse something that you want to have become a new habit or a new way of acting in your life, you're basically putting it in your long-term memory. Now, what is your procedural memory? Well, your procedural memory is the part of your brain that has stored all the motor skills, like writing, like picking up a glass and drinking, like walking. It is all stored in your procedural memory. The reason why you and I can walk without thinking about it, or talk, or skip, or brush our teeth is because we have rehearsed that sequence, that procedure, that series of events over and over and over again. And now it's locked into my brain, into my procedural memory. Now, here's what's really cool, everybody. Your brain doesn't know the difference between an event that you have closed your eyes and imagined and an event that you've actually done. And what's happening in your brain when I visualize myself making that mocktail step by step by step by step is I am making connections between the gaps at the end of the neurons in my body, the synapses, and every time I either imagine that sequence of events or I practice it, we're making that connection between neurons stronger and stronger and stronger. And so here's what's really cool. What I just told you is manifesting. Seriously. Manifesting done correctly is when you use your procedural memory as a tool to train your brain, your nervous system, your spirit to help you feel motivated and to help you do the work that actually changes your life. How cool is that? I want to be very clear about something. Manifesting gets a bad rap because of the law of attraction. But manifesting is not woo-woo at all. It's not a cheesy topic. Manifesting is not just think about something that you want and suddenly it'll magically appear. No. Manifesting is when you use your procedural memory and you visualize the step by step by step actions that you need to take in order to make your big goal or the thing that you want or the new habit to become a reality. You see, manifesting isn't the end, everybody. Manifesting is the bridge. It's the series of actions that you're going to take in order to have this new habit. And when you rehearse something and when you encode it in your procedural memory, what actually happens is because it's now something that your brain recognizes, the walking to the other cabinet, not where the gin is, the opening up the fridge and grabbing the kombucha instead of grabbing the gin in the cabinet. When you rehearse this over and over, you are lowering the limbic friction, the friction in your mind, the resistance that you feel. You are lowering that resistance. And that is how manifesting helps you achieve your goals.
I want to talk about like a buzzword that's big in the personal development space now, and that's manifestation. And I know you talk a lot about it, but I think a lot of people get manifesting wrong in that they think that, oh, I'm just going to write something down, I'm going to say a prayer, and then things are going to come to me. And to me, I think that's total BS. I think you have to take action. What's your opinion on manifesting, and how can somebody do it the right way?
Manifesting is an incredibly important tool in your toolkit for a fulfilling and happy life. And most of us are doing it wrong. So manifesting done properly is the process by which you train your mind, body, and spirit to help you get what you want. Manifesting is not, based on the research, thinking about something and then it suddenly magically happens. And, since so many of your listeners are, people who are very, spiritual and faithful, I'm sure you've had an experience where you've prayed and prayed and prayed for something and it's not coming, it's not coming, it's not coming. You go through the worst experience or breakdown of your life. I bet jail and getting arrested was probably this for you. And then it's 10 years later that you look back and go, oh my God, my prayers were answered
just not in the manner in which I had been praying they would be answered. And so, what I want you to understand is that if you want to use manifesting, here's how you're going to do it. Don't think about the end. Don't think about the mansion you want to buy. Don't think about the soulmate that you're going to meet. Don't think about the finish line on the marathon, because thinking about the end doesn't help your mind, body, and spirit prepare you to do the work to get it. There are no, get out of jail free cards in life. There just aren't. You're going to have to put in the work to get the real results that you want. And so what you do when you manifest properly is you're going to visualize the bridge or the path in between where you are today and where you want to go. So, why don't you pick something that you want, Doug? What's a goal of yours for this year?
Oh, let's see. A goal of mine for this year is I want to get my podcast to a point where it's helping tens of thousands of people.
Okay. So you just said that I want to get my podcast to a point that it's helping tens of thousands of people. Now that you have identified what your goal is, let's back up to the present moment and let's do step 2. Step 2 is, now I want you to close your eyes and I want you to visualize what are all of the tedious, annoying, boring, hard things that you need to do that you're either not doing now or you need to do more of. Start to list them out.
Being more consistent on social media, engaging with other podcasters, just being consistent and practicing patience, getting more creative, and not being scared to invest money.
That's the big one.
Right.
That's the big one. So you just said that you needed to be more patient. You needed to stop being afraid to invest money. You needed to connect with more podcasters. You needed to be on social media more. Now, what you do, now that you have a list of all the things that you need to be doing that you're not doing or you're not doing enough of, and for a lot of people, they don't know. Okay, well, I don't know. I know what I want, but I don't know what the work is. Just find somebody on social media or out in the world who has the thing that you want, study what they did, and write all those things down as an action. But generally, there are videos you can watch, there are events you can go to, there are webinars that you can take, there are books that you can read. The information of what to do is out there. So how do you use visualization now that you know what you want and you know some of the actions that you need to take that will take you in a path leading toward what you want? Well, now what you do is every single morning, you're going to add to your morning routine, writing down 5 things that you want. And one of those things is going to be, I want whatever it is that the goal is. In your case, it is, I want my podcast to reach tens of thousands of people, right? Then the why, why you want to do that. Why do you want to reach tens of thousands of people, Doug?
Because I feel that I have a strong message and I want people to use hard times to grow and make themselves better and not use it as an excuse to make their situation worse.
Okay, now let's make it about you. How do you feel when the stuff that you're putting out impacts people?
I feel amazing because it continues to reinforce that there was purpose in a lot of the pain that I went through when I was younger.
There's your why. You feel fulfilled turning the tremendous pain that you felt into a sense of purpose. And that purpose is acknowledged when you hear from people who listen to your podcast. That's your why. That's the intrinsic source of motivation for you. It's not about them. Anybody who wants to make a difference in the world, the reason why you're motivated to do that is because it feels so good for you. I'm dead serious about this, and there's nothing selfish about it. That's why it feels so good to volunteer. It's why it feels so good to give back, because you get something. You get affirmed as a human being that your time, your energy, your pain matters. And that's so important. So now that you feel that feeling inside your body of why you want this thing, because it makes you feel like you matter, it makes you come alive, whatever the reason is, now you're going to close your eyes. And you said the hardest thing for you is going to be to invest money in growing this podcast. So I want you to close your eyes and I want you to describe for me an image of how much money and what you're actually investing in. Okay, so describe that scene for me. Put me at the scene.
So I'm investing in production. I'm investing in somebody to help me do some of the tedious tasks that I'm working, that I'm like staying up super, super late. That's can be overwhelming at times because I still do have a training business. I'm investing in travel to network with other podcasters and meet different people at conferences.
Mm-hmm.
I
And as you see the money going out the door, what are you feeling that's negative in your body?
It's uncertainty
Where do you feel it in your body?
in my legs.
You feel it in your legs? Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know why. I think it's because I hold a lot of stress in my hips, but
Well, it's a that you know what that is, by the way, is that's your nervous system feeling uncertainty. That's where you feel it.
right.
This is how you manifest properly, by the way. Right here. You have to visualize in your mind writing the check and feeling the pain in your legs of uncertainty. You have to visualize in your mind sitting in that plane seat, flying to a conference, feeling the pit in your stomach, being worried about whether or not anyone's going to take you seriously because there's all these big podcasters there. You need to feel your chest contract and squeeze in as you walk up to somebody that you deeply admire and you start a conversation, or you walk up to an event organizer and say, I'd like to apply to be on a panel next year. How do I do that? And your chest gets really tight because you feel like you don't belong there because you don't have the numbers yet, or whatever your stupid story is. When you picture that in your mind and you feel the negative sensation in your body, you are doing resistance training. This is how you align your mind, body, and spirit to not resist the hard stuff. Here's a cool fact about your brain. Your brain doesn't know the difference between you actually spending the money, buying the plane ticket, getting on the plane and flying to that event, or you imagining it in your mind. And when you run through the hard things that you're avoiding in your mind and you allow yourself to feel the negative sensation in your body, you are training and mentally rehearsing the exact same way Olympic athletes do with the 9 sports psychologists that the U.S. Olympic team has to help our athletes prepare. You are mentally rehearsing before the actual event so that your mind and your body are trained to anticipate and push right on through all the stuff that's scary because you've already rehearsed it. That's how you use manifesting to help you do the work to get what you want.
Wow. I'm so grateful that we kind of brought that up and that you helped walk me through this.
What did you get out of that?
Well, I became aware of not only what I need to do, but like what's the fear that's attached to it.
What is the fear?
Well, the fear is always going to be uncertainty or scarcity, because I think the one thing that's been beneficial to me in my life is that I've always had my back against the wall from being somebody who was a convicted felon in jail, not growing up with a ton of money, that sort of thing, where I've always been forced to just hustle, work, where I'm used to this kind of situation. But on the flip side, the negative is I'm so used to being stressed because I grew up in a stressful environment. I put myself in a stressful environment from selling drugs and doing drugs for a majority of my life when I was younger, so that a lot of times now I've had to become aware of when I'm creating more stress around something that's a good thing instead of something that I would have seen back in the day as something that was bad or whatever.
I'm going to teach you the 4 simple steps that you need to follow in order to manifest the right way according to research and science. I'm so glad you're watching this. Manifesting is an incredible skill to develop in your life and to practice and build consistently as something that you do. My definition of manifesting is manifesting when you do it following the 4 steps you're about to learn according to research and science. What manifesting does is it trains your mind, your body, your spirit to align with what you want to achieve in life. Manifesting is a way to prepare or socialize your mind and your nervous system and your body to do the work that's necessary to getting what you want. And so the steps that I'm going to walk you through they're based in research, and what they're doing is they remove all of the obstacles that would normally stop you from taking action. Because just thinking about what you want isn't going to get it done. What ultimately creates results in your life are actions. And so manifesting is a way to train yourself to take the actions that will change your life, that will help you get what you want. Manifesting also removes self-doubt, resistance, excuses, imposter syndrome, all the things that would normally stop you from taking the actions. The 4 steps that you need to follow, really simple. Step number 1 is give yourself permission to dream with the lid off. This is really important. And the reason why this is important is because I guarantee you that right now you are not even allowing yourself to fully dream or think about or set goals that are truly aligned with what you deeply want in your heart. That you aren't even able to manifest properly because you're not even honest with yourself about what you actually want. This is a really common thing because you're allowing your self-doubt, you are allowing your fears, your anxiety, your insecurity, you're allowing where you are to dictate and limit where you want to go. And so step 1, super important. You must allow yourself, give yourself permission to start dreaming with the lid off. Now, the scientific reason why this is so important is because you have a filter in your brain called the reticular activity system. I write about the RAS for short, the reticular activity system, extensively in the High Five Habit. The RAS is a filter in your mind, and you can do simple things that change the structure of that filter. In fact, the filter in your mind, the RAS, is always changing. So one thing that you can do in order to teach yourself how to dream with the lid off is to adopt a simple habit. Every single morning, I do a very simple thing. I write down 5 things that I want. That's it. When I start my day, after I get up when the alarm rings, I make my bed, I pull on my exercise clothes, I set an intention, I high-five myself in the mirror, I then go out into the kitchen, I crack open my high-five journal, and then inside the journal there are prompts that walk me through the steps of visualizing. And the first prompt is dream with the lid off. Set your spirit free. Write down 5 things every morning that you want. And this is important because when you get what you want out of your head and you physically put them on a piece of paper, research shows that you're 42% more likely to achieve those goals simply by writing them down. That's pretty cool. Secondly, your mind is paying attention. And when you take deliberate action and you write down what you want, you are signaling to your brain that you deserve to have these things. You are signaling to your brain that you do want those things. You're not just going to think about them. These are things that matter to you. And that helps train your mind to allow you to let the desires flow through you. Because right now, you're not manifesting properly because you're not even allowing yourself to dream with the lid off. So that's step number one. You're going to start writing down 5 things that you want every single morning as a way to train your mind to let you dream freely. So a couple things about this little practice of writing down 5 things that you want every morning as a way to train your mind to allow you to dream again. First of all, you can write down the same 5 things every day. It's your list, your dreams. You get to do this how you want. The second thing that you could do is you could just write down different things every day. It doesn't matter, because really what manifesting is manifesting as a way to train and prepare your mind, body, and spirit to help you. And if your mind is blocking you and your mind won't even allow you to fully want the things that you want, like, for example, maybe you want to be a New York Times bestselling author, but you won't even write that down because you don't think it's possible. If you won't even write it down because your self-doubt is stopping you, you're not dreaming with the lid off. And so this simple exercise, write down, I want to be a New York Times bestselling author. I want a house by the beach. I want to take my family to Disney World. I'd love to meet the love of my life. I'd like to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. I want to open a wine bar. I'd love to get in the best shape of my life. I'd like to do a handstand this year in yoga. I'd like my dog to start barking at the neighbors. Whatever you want, it doesn't matter. You're just training yourself to dream. And that's step 1. Allow yourself to want what you want. Step number 2 for manifesting properly, according to science, is you must visualize the steps that lead you to the thing that you want, not the end goal. This is a major mistake that people make. They manifest improperly because all they do is focus on the end goal. If you've ever made a vision board, think about what you put on the vision board. You put up just the beach house or the $1 million in the bank, or you crossing the finish line, or you launching that business, or you having the body that you want, or you driving the Maserati, whatever it is. The end goal is what you put up on a vision board. That is not what you're going to do when you manifest. If you start focusing on crossing the finish line of the marathon, that is a one-way ticket to being unmotivated and completely discouraged. In fact, research shows that if all you do is focus on the thing that you want, and you just focus on that vision of you and your bikini body, or you with the love of your life on your arms, or you at the Oscars winning that award, or the Grammys, what happens is, because you've only focused on the end goal, you start to feel really unmotivated and discouraged because you're nowhere near it. That's where manifesting comes in, because we're not going to focus on the end goal. You got to pick something that you want in order to get started. But manifesting isn't about the end. It's about the bridge. It's about going from where you are here to where you want to go. Imagine that there is a bridge that connects where you are right here with what you dream about doing. Now, that dream could be to be a Grammy Award-winning singer-songwriter. That dream might be to have a family of your own. That dream might be to have a beach house or a ski house, or to take a trip to Fiji. That dream can be whatever the hell you want it to be. But when it comes to manifesting, once you've given yourself permission to dream with the lid off and really want what you want, to feel the pull of that thing, now we got to talk about the path that connects where you are with where you want to go. And this is all about visualizing the little steps. There's a lot of research that proves why visualizing the steps is the most important thing that you could do. There was a study done at UCLA, for example, where they were researching manifestation and the power of visualization, and they broke students into 2 groups. And they had Group A, we're going to call these the vision board group. They had Group A close their eyes, visualize in their mind, and feel in their body themselves taking the test, and then walking up to a board where the test's scores were posted, and finding their name and seeing an A+. That's what Group A, the vision board group, were told to do, to visualize themselves achieving what they wanted. Group B, we're going to call these the hard workers, These students were coached in this research project to close their eyes and to visualize going back to their dorm room, sitting down at the desk, and studying, and staying up late, and putting in the work, studying and preparing for the tests. Now let me ask you a question. Which group do you think did better on the actual test? Was it Group A, the Vision Board group, who were taught to visualize and picture themselves walking up to a board and seeing the A+? Or was it Group B, the hard work group, the group that was taught to close their eyes and visualize and seeing themselves doing the work to study for the test? Well, if you answered Group A, you're wrong. If you answered Group B, you got the correct answer. The reason why Group B, the students who visualized studying for the tests, got better test scores is because when you visualize yourself doing the work, visualizing it leads you to doing the work. And it's only through actions that you will get the result that you want. Preparing your mind and visualizing yourself doing it lowers your resistance and leads to you taking the action. That's why manifesting works. You know, the same is true in sports. There's all kinds of research in sports psychology. In fact, our Olympic athletes for the U.S. Olympic team, they hire sports psychologists to train our top Olympic athletes, particularly after they've been injured, in visualizing themselves competing. When you coach an athlete to mentally rehearse every single detail about going through the competition, you are training the mind, body, and spirit to show up and dominate. This is particularly true for athletes after they've been injured and they're stepping back into competition. If you've been injured in competition, you're naturally going to feel anxious. You're naturally going to be nervous. Your brain and nervous system circuitry is now programmed with the intensity from that injury, the memory from the injury. So of course it's natural to bring that into your pre-competition feelings about it, right? So manifestation properly, remember what it is? Manifesting is preparing your mind, body, and spirit to do the work. It's aligning your mind, body, and spirit with what you want. It removes the obstacles that would normally stop you, which then prepares and motivates you to take the actions to succeed. So in the case of athletes who visualize themselves and see themselves doing all the steps over and over, they're removing the nerves. They're removing all the programming related to the injury. They are preparing their mind, body, and spirit to go in and frickin' dominate. And so are you, because that's step 2. You gotta see it. The third step is you're gonna feel in your body what it feels like to do the work. So let's go back to the research project at UCLA. Not only do I want you to close your eyes and picture yourself going back to the dorm room. Notice I'm closing my eyes. It's because manifesting is a habit for me. And when I manifest, I get in it, man. I close my eyes. I go into my mind. I am literally in my imagination there. And I not only can see myself doing the work, I can feel it. You can feel what it's like to walk into that dorm. You can feel what it's like to sit down. You can feel the heavy backpack hit the table. You can feel yourself crack open that book. You can feel yourself sitting at that desk and the desk light. And you can also even feel what it's like, can't you? As the sun starts to set and it gets darker outside and the light on your desk starts to get brighter and take things over, you can just put yourself right there. And the feeling is super important because, again, manifesting is mind, body, spirit. We got to get your nervous system involved. We've got to make you feel like you're at the scene. One of the reasons why feeling it is so important is because it magnifies the imagery in your mind. And when your mind rehearses something, here's what's cool about your brain. Your brain doesn't know the difference between you studying for that test or you doing the work to start that business or get healthy or put yourself back out there or heal your trauma or save the money to get that house that you want or whatever it is that you're visualizing. Your brain doesn't know the difference between you visualizing those things
and you actually doing them. In your mind, it's the same. So it's almost like a training run for a marathon. You are building a muscle that helps you win when you take the actions. It's so cool. And so you not only want to feel what it's like to study for that test, put yourself at the scene. You also want to feel a sense of pride that you're doing the work. And the pride piece is really important because the pride piece acts almost like a booster. It amplifies the memory imprint. When you like bring this, wow, there I am, I'm doing the work, I'm proud of myself, I'm staying in, I'm putting in the extra work. Somebody said no and I kept on going. I didn't stop when the first venture capital firm said they wouldn't invest. There I am investing again. When you feel this sense of pride in yourself, it supersizes the imprint and the rehearsing. And so it's a super important part of the feeling. Not only feel the steps, feel the pride that you're doing it. This is so important that I want to give you yet another example. Let's say that your bucket list, something on your bucket list is to run a marathon. For me, it was on my bucket list when I was a young mom to run the New York City Marathon. Now, what's interesting is I applied, I got a number, and when I won this number out of a lottery system with the New York City Marathon, I was a brand new mom. I was totally out of shape. I was not at all in any kind of a place to run the New York City Marathon. Now here's the thing, I used visualization to help me lower my fear and my excuses. Because when I got the number, I did not have a lot of time. If I had been a person who was not visualizing, I probably would have said, I don't have enough time to train, I'm not ready, I can't do this, all the excuses would have come in. But instead, I used visualization. Now, how do you use visualization for, say, a marathon? You do not want to visualize crossing the finish line. That is how you visualize incorrectly. Luckily, I knew how to visualize at this moment in my life. You need to visualize yourself going from 0 to preparing to run that race. So what does that mean? That means you need to visualize, oh, there I am. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. Oh, I don't feel like getting up, but I'm getting up and I'm putting on my sneakers and it's dark out and I don't feel like going for a run, but there I am going out the door alone in the cold. Wow, I am going for, I'm pretty proud of myself because I'm training. Oh, here's another thing you could visualize. I'm on a training run, it's mile 7 and it starts to rain and I keep going. Wow, I'm wet and I'm still running. I'm proud of myself because I'm out there training. It's mile 11 and my earbuds just lost battery. I don't have any more music. I got 5 more miles to go. I'm out here for almost another hour. And I continue going. And I continue going. And I see myself completing that 16-mile training run. And I allow myself to not only feel what it feels like to push through that moment when those earbuds run out of battery, but I also feel proud of myself for pushing through. That's how you prepare yourself for the thing that you need to do, because it removes the obstacles that would stop you from pushing through at mile 11 when your earbuds run out, because you've already rehearsed the moment in your mind. And then finally, step 4, and this is where a lot of people, not naming names, but this one is like really important, you need to do the work, okay? You gotta do the work. Because it's only through your actions that you will accomplish what you want. Let's say that you've always wanted to climb a particular mountain, okay? There's a mountain called Haystack. It's not even that tall, so I should probably pick a bigger one, but let's just call it Haystack Mountain. You've always wanted to climb Haystack Mountain. You pull up to Haystack Mountain, and you get out of the car, you park at the, National Forest parking lot, and you make the mistake of looking up at the mountain, which is the end goal, right? And you notice it's up in the clouds. And then you start to think, oh my God, that's a really far way away. I don't really know how I feel about doing this anymore because that looks like it's going to take a really long time. And then all of a sudden it starts to rain. And you go, I don't think I want to do this because I don't think I feel like doing this. And next thing you know, you are back in the car, driving back down the road to that little diner that you saw. And instead of climbing the mountain that you've always dreamt of climbing, you've now come up with an excuse and you have abandoned
ship. You now have literally become your own obstacle. You talked yourself out of it. You started to doubt yourself. You told yourself you weren't ready and that you didn't feel like it. You pull the ripcord, you're out of there. In order to have what you want in life, you must stop staring at the top of that mountain. You must stop creating excuses for why you can't or don't feel like it. And you must put your head down and look at the first step in front of you. And then you must take the action and start walking toward what you want. And it'll be a hell of a lot easier for you to do that if you have also been putting in the time every day consistently to not only see yourself walking up that trail step by step, but that you have felt yourself pushing through the resistance, the fear, the obstacles, the excuses that are stopping you now. And feel proud in every fiber of your being as you push through those obstacles and see yourself and feel yourself doing the work. That's how you manifest properly. And if you do that before you pull into the national park parking lot, if you look up at that mountain and you see clouds and it starts raining, it won't matter because you've already rehearsed this moment in your mind, body, and spirit. And you, my friend, will start walking up that trail. And you're going to be proud. That's how you use manifesting to get what you want. That's how you leverage all the science and research to train and prepare your mind, body, and spirit to help you get what you want. And that's how you hack the motivation and inspiration that you need to take the actions that get you everything that you want and deserve in life. I wanted to make this video because, boy, has the interest in manifesting just skyrocketed. Do you know that there has been a 700% increase in Google searches for manifestation and manifesting techniques just this year alone? So if you're brand new to manifesting, you are in the right place because I'm going to unpack the basics for you. I'm going to help you understand this. And more importantly, I'm going to empower you to put this to use in your life to help you get what you want. And if you've been trying to manifest for a while now and it's not working, this is also an exceptionally awesome video for you to watch because it is probably going to reveal some of the mistakes you've been making. And so let's just jump into it. So here's what we're going to cover in this video. First of all, I'm going to give you a definition for manifesting that's going to clear a lot of stuff up. Next, I'm going to talk about what it is for real based on science and what it can help you do, and what it isn't. How manifesting is very different than dreaming, hoping, wishing, and wanting, okay? Then what we're going to do is we're going to talk about why this is a skill that you need. I'm going to tell you a story about how some of the top performing athletes in the world at the highest level, Olympic levels, are using the science of manifestation to get what they want when it comes to performing at their top level. I'm also going to tell you a deeply personal story about how my husband and I used manifesting over 20 years ago to help us get this incredible dream house, this farmhouse that we always wanted outside of Boston, Massachusetts. And by the time that we are done with this, you're going to feel so excited, so empowered, because you're going to know what manifesting is. You're going to understand why you need it. And you are also going to be equipped to get started using it. All right. So let's start with the definition of manifesting. What the heck is manifesting, Mel Robbins? Well, let me tell you what manifesting isn't, okay? Manifesting is not thinking thoughts and then hoping that they come true. Thoughts become things only when your thoughts inspire you to take the actions to get those things. That's where manifesting comes in. Manifesting is preparing your mind, body, and spirit to help you take the actions to get those things. That's right. I'm going to say that again. Manifesting is like training for getting what you want. Manifesting is socializing your mind, preparing your mind, rehearsing your mind to help you take the steps before you take the steps so that you can get what you want. When you use manifesting properly, what you do is you remove the obstacles of self-doubt, of resistance, of being cautious, of focusing on tiny minutia, of feeling blank and overwhelmed. You remove all that crap. and you retrain your mind and you retrain your nervous system and you retrain your spirit to help you get the things that you want in life. And when you manifest properly, what it does is it inspires you to take the actions that lead you to what you want. Now that sounds like a lot of like, okay, Mel, what does that actually mean? What it means is this. Manifesting is going to help you see, feel, and act your way toward the things that you want. That's what it does. It's so freaking cool. Now let me tell you the difference between manifesting according to science and wishing, wanting, hoping, dreaming. Let's focus on sort of wishing. There's a lot of you that are confusing wishing for something with manifesting, okay? They're the opposite ends of the spectrum. And so before I kind of explain the two, let me just give you an example so that we can use the example to compare and to contrast, okay? One big goal and dream that a lot of people have is financial freedom. The ability to take your kids to Disney World, the ability to buy what you want, the ability to put enough money away so that you don't have to worry about money, the ability to buy the things that you need, to go on the trips that you want. Financial freedom is something that you deserve in your life. It's something that you can do the work to achieve in your life. And so let's talk about the goal of financial freedom and the difference between wishing for financial freedom and hoping and dreaming about it versus manifesting and doing the work to go get it. If you can hear my cat outside, you know that he sounds like he's dying. What he's actually doing is he's really pissed off because we have come into this little room and shut the door. And so he's walking around going, "Where are you? Where is everybody?" Let's take a listen for a minute. So did you notice that wishing he would leave didn't work? What you're going to always get when you watch Mel Robbins videos is you're going to get the real deal, okay? But literally the real deal, because this is real life. And these are tools for real people to make real changes. And so you might as well see what's going on. So the cat is now sleeping on my lap, and he's very happy. We were talking about financial freedom, which is a goal that so many people have, right? And what's the difference between you wanting and wishing for financial freedom and you manifesting it? And using manifestation and the science of it to help you get it. The big difference between wishing for something and using manifesting to help you do the work to go get it is that when you wish that you were financially free, have you ever noticed that the second that you wish for something, like, I wish I would win the lottery, you're also present at the same time to the fact that you're lacking money right now. Like wishing that you would win the lottery, it doesn't bring up all of this sort of like empowering feelings. What it does is it reminds you that you're so broke that you need to win the lottery. And that's very different than manifesting. Manifesting is declaring what you want. I am committed to creating financial freedom in my life. And then once you declare what you want, manifesting is about the actions and empowering yourself to go get it. And there's a really big difference between focusing on, and wishing for something, which only reminds you that you're lacking it. I wish I would meet somebody. That just makes you feel more alone. I wish I could get in shape. That just makes you feel more out of shape. I wish I could win the lottery. That just makes you feel poorer. I wish I didn't have to work for this jerk. That just makes you feel more stuck. Do you feel how wishing for something amplifies what you don't like versus I'm going to manifest and work for more money in my life? I am committed to being in a loving relationship and I'm going to manifest and make it happen. I deserve to have a career that I love, and I'm going to use manifesting to help me get it. I want to be in incredible shape. I want to do a handstand in yoga. I want to heal my trauma, and I'm going to use manifesting to help me achieve those things. That's a big difference. Wishing and hoping makes you present to what you don't have. Manifesting
makes you present and feeling empowered about what you want and your ability to go get it. And that highlights the second big difference. When you hope for things, when you wish for things, you are handing the power to somebody else or to outside forces. You are literally giving away your power, because hoping and wishing just inherently assumes that somebody else is somehow going to come in and solve the problem. We all know that that's not happening. Manifesting, on the other hand, locates and amplifies the power inside of you to do the work to get those things, to do the work to change your life. And it's important that you locate the power inside of you, because you're the one that's responsible for your dreams, and you're also the person that's in the best position to make those dreams a reality, because you have the ability to change the way that you think. You have the ability to change the actions that you take every single day. And when you change the actions that you take and you change the way that you think, you change your entire life. And manifesting is a tool that will help you train your brain and train your nervous system and train your mind, body, and spirit to help you achieve the things that you want. The thing that's super important for you to get as a major takeaway from this video is the thoughts alone won't achieve the things that you desire. But if you manifest properly, it will inspire you to take action. And action is what will create the results that you deserve and that you want in your life. That's as simply as I can put it. I want to explain a little bit about the science. I promised you that I was going to quickly tell you a little bit about how some of the world's most successful athletes are using the science of manifestation in order to win at the Olympics, in order to come back after an injury. You know, the U.S. Olympic team, there was a big article in the New York Times about this. They hire sports psychologists precisely for mental training. And what these sports psychologists are doing, there are 5 of them alone that work with the U.S. snowboarding and ski team. And what they do is they are doing the mental training with athletes before the Olympics to help them prepare to show up at the Olympics and absolutely crush it. And you're going to do the same thing. You are going to use manifestation to mentally prepare before and while you're doing the work to achieve your goals and dreams. Because when you mentally prepare, you remove all of the obstacles like self-doubt and nerves and anxiety and imposter syndrome and fear that are currently stopping you from taking action. And so how do you mentally prepare? Well, let me talk to you about the ski team, because they do this super cool process that is basically what you do when you manifest. The sports psychologist would sit down with one of the gold medal winning skiers and snowboarders, particularly after injury, because if you think about it, somebody that's been injured during competition, even after they've had surgery and they've recovered, they're going to be nervous about competing again. And you may feel the same way about going for what you want. You may have faced a bunch of setbacks, you may have faced a bunch of disappointments, you may have faced a bunch of rejection, and so you're nervous about putting yourself out there. That's okay. Feeling nervous is normal, but you're not going to let it stop you. We're going to use manifestation to train your mind, body, and spirit to be able to do the work. We're going to rehearse what you need to do in your mind and your body and your spirit so that when it comes time to do it, you feel like you've actually already done it, which removes your nerves. It's so cool. So back to the U.S. Ski and snowboarding team, the sports psychologists would sit with the athletes and, let's just say, the crazy snowboarding thing where they go off a jump and they do 50 million like hoops and loops and tricks and whatever. That's like a 10-second jump in the air. And so what the sports psychologist does is they have the snowboarder or the skier describe in detail, not the jump, but point A, point B, point C, point D, point E, point F, all the way to Z. Okay, I'm getting off the chairlift and I've got my snowboard tucked under my right arm and I'm walking up to the place where everybody's getting ready. I hear the crunch, crunch, crunch of the snow and I feel the breeze. Do you notice I've got my eyes closed? I've got my eyes closed because I have made manifesting a habit. I do it every single morning. And when I start to manifest, I do something that I used to do as a trial lawyer, and that is put someone at the scene. Really good trial lawyers are able to put a jury right at a scene, right where it happened, with such detail that you can smell the cup of coffee on the counter. You can hear the cars passing outside. You can see the bright orange sweater that somebody's wearing right in your mind. You have the ability with your imagination to put yourself right at the scene. And that's exactly what these sports psychologists are coaching Olympic athletes to do. As you're standing there and the wind is blowing and your hat is on and they're calling your name, now you're clipping in. Now you're feeling the excitement in your stomach. Now you're feeling yourself push off. And you feel the momentum kick in and the gravity pull down and the speed increasing. And you feel the lift off. And you literally mentally rehearse visually and in your body feeling it. And what you're doing is you are preparing your body to be able to do it. Here's a cool fact about your brain. Your brain can't distinguish between real experiences that you've lived and the detailed experiences that you have imagined and felt through manifesting. So we are using your vision, we are using your ability to picture yourself there and feel yourself there as a way to prepare yourself to be there. And as you're seeing yourself doing all the work, I want you to feel this sense of pride and excitement in order to really imprint the step-by-step training in your mind, body, and spirit. All right, well, look, I'm no Olympic athlete, but I am a gold medalist when it comes to the science of manifestation. I used manifesting as a way to help me keep doing the work to find my dream house outside of Boston. This is the story of how I use manifesting to do the work to find a needle in a haystack, which was an antique farmhouse outside of Boston. So, 1997, my husband Chris and I are newlyweds. We moved from New York City to the Boston area. And we have moved from New York to the Boston area because we know that we want to start a family. We know we don't want to be in New York City. We know we want to buy a house and have a yard. And so we rent an apartment in Cambridge, which is, right next door to Boston. And for almost a year, we start looking for a house. Now, we were a really young, newlywed couple. We did not have a lot of savings. And Boston, it's a really expensive real estate market. And so we looked at houses every single weekend for an entire year. And we either would go to these open houses and we just hated the neighborhood, or we couldn't afford the house, and we were just feeling so discouraged. And it was about this time that I discovered the science of manifesting. And I luckily didn't just learn thoughts become things. I learned the see it, feel it, and you'll believe it form of manifesting that you're learning right now. And here's what I would do. I would, every single day, I knew what I wanted more than anything. I wanted to find an antique farmhouse with a big front porch. I wanted it to be in our budget. I wanted to have some land. I wanted to get a fixer-upper. I just had this this old house kind of vision in my mind, right? And I would sit there and I would think about Chris and I going to open houses. And I would think about Chris and I seeing house after house. And I would think about Chris getting really discouraged. And I would feel the pressure of going to all these open houses and us not finding anything. And I could feel Chris getting discouraged, and I could feel myself starting to get discouraged. And then I would feel and see myself turning to Chris and saying, Chris, you watch. We are really good people, and we have the kind of luck that something magical is going to happen.
we are going to find that needle in the haystack. I just know it. If we just keep going to open houses, if we just keep putting it out there that we're looking for an old farmhouse, a fixer-upper with a big porch on a nice piece of property, we will find it. What this kind of manifesting does, where you see yourself pushing through the resignation, you feel yourself believing, you feel yourself doing the work to find that needle in the haystack, to beat the odds, to have something magical happens, is that you start to believe that it's going to happen. Through manifesting, I literally convinced myself that we would, in fact, find a needle in a haystack, that I didn't even need to worry about all the houses that we couldn't afford that we were seeing. I didn't even need to worry about the number of places that we would look at that were out of our range. I didn't even have to worry about how long it was going to take, because I knew, because I was aligning myself with what I wanted through proper manifestation, that it would happen. I wasn't worried about the timeline. I just assumed that if we kept at it and we kept holding on for that needle in the haystack, amazing old farmhouse, that one day, somehow, magically, the stars would align, we would be in the right place, and we would be rewarded because we had done the work and we had held out hope and we had kept on going. And why do we do those things? Because I had been training myself, preparing myself to do all those things. And I'll tell you what happened. About a year into looking, in one of the nicest towns outside of Boston, Massachusetts, we got word that there was a ransack old farmhouse that may be coming on the market. So we drove out that weekend and we pulled up in front of the house. And I got to tell you, the grass at this house in the front yard was like waist high. Nobody had mowed this lawn in I don't know how many years. It looked like a field, for crying out loud, instead of a front lawn. The paint was all chipped. The house was this like ugly blue color. Most of the windows were broken. The only living beings inside the house were the family of raccoons who had taken up residence inside the chimney. The kitchen was so hideous, there was astroturf, indoor-outdoor grass, as the flooring in this house. Now, if I hadn't been manifesting, if I hadn't been training my mind, body, and spirit to see, feel, and believe that my husband and I would find this needle in a haystack, I would have turned to Chris the second we pulled up in front of this thing and said, "Are you kidding me? This dump? First of all, we won't be able to afford it. Secondly, this dump? What? Have we lost? It's not even on the market. Some developer is going to swoop in here in this neighborhood and pay 3 times what we can afford. There is no way we are going to get this." That's what would have happened if I hadn't been manifesting. Because the biggest obstacle to what you want is always your own self-doubt, your own excuses, your own fears, and your own stories. Because I had been manifesting what it looked like and felt like to align my body and spirit with getting what I want, I stayed open that this could be that needle in the haystack. We got out of the car. We met with the owner. It turns out the house wasn't on the market yet. The family was figuring out what to do because the man who had owned it had just died, incapacitated in a nursing home. None of the adult kids wanted the house. And what did they want for the house more than anything? This dilapidated old farmhouse that they had all grown up in? They wanted a young couple who was starting a family to raise their family in it. Well, the long and the short of it is that ugly old farmhouse with the broken windows and the raccoons inside and the indoor-outdoor grass turf for carpeting in the kitchen was that needle in the haystack. Chris and I bought it from the family before it ever came on the market. And we spent the first 2 years, honest to God, indoor camping inside of it. We didn't even have a kitchen. We had a Coleman 2-burner camping stove. We did most of the renovations ourselves, which meant bringing the knob and tube wiring up to code, slapping on a paint a coat, and bringing everything up to a point where it would be safe. And we have lived in this farmhouse and raised our family in it for the past 24 years. There is no way that I would have even gotten out of the car without having been manifesting for 8 months prior to finding
that farmhouse with the big wrap porch on a great piece of property right outside of Boston. It was seeing it, feeling it in my mind, body, and spirit that made my mind believe that it was possible. And when you believe that something is possible, you will do the work and you will stay open to all of the amazing possibilities that come into your life to make it happen. And here we are almost 25 years later, sitting here filming in that very house. So there you have it. I promised you that this would be a video that would be perfect if you were brand new to manifesting, or if you've been manifesting for a while but it hasn't been working. I hope that now that you know the real definition and the real purpose of manifesting, when you manifest using science and you manifest as a way to train and prepare your mind, body, and spirit to do the work to help you get what you want. I hope you now feel empowered and inspired to stop wishing and hoping for the things that you want in life, and that you use manifesting to prepare yourself and inspire yourself to go take the action to make them a reality. If you ever find yourself feeling stuck when you're manifesting, feeling like you can't visualize the steps that lead you to what you want is an extraordinarily common obstacle when you're manifesting. Because remember, manifesting is the practice of preparing your mind, body, and spirit to do the work to achieve the things that you want. And as you probably know, manifesting has 4 different parts to it. First of all, you got to give yourself permission to really have what you want. Okay? Because you got to have the thing that you're visualizing be something that is authentically something that you want. Number 2, you must see yourself taking the steps, the tiny actions, and doing the work that will lead you to creating or having what you want. Third, you got to feel in your body what it feels like to do the work. And you also have to feel pride as you see yourself doing the work, because that amplifies your mind, body, and spirit really imprinting and training and preparing for it. And fourth, obviously, you got to take the actions. And all of that manifesting and preparing inspires you to take the actions. But one place where so many folks get stuck when they start trying to make manifesting a daily habit is you go and you know what you want, but then you sit down and you try to imagine what the steps are that you need to take to get there, and you don't have a clue. Your mind goes blank. If this is you, I'm so excited that you're watching this, because the simple trick based in science is called the power of objectivity. All you got to do is stop visualizing yourself and insert your friend Mel Robbins, or insert somebody else that you love and admire. And the power of objectivity is going to immediately switch you from a blocked mind to one that is bolder and more creative and able to visualize the steps. Now, I'm not just making this up. There's extraordinary research that was just written about in the Harvard Business School Review. They did 8 different studies at the University of Wisconsin, where they were studying the power of objectivity. And with thousands of participants, here's what they found. When participants tried to visualize themselves doing hard things, immediately, the participants, when they thought about themselves doing something hard, like let's just say asking for a raise, okay? I want you to imagine yourself asking for a raise or applying for that dream job. When you visualize yourself doing it, you immediately focus in on minutia. You start imagining all kinds of things that could go wrong. You start arguing against yourself, and doubt comes flooding in. You have a very cautious mindset when you place yourself in those scenarios. However, if you were to visualize me, Mel Robbins, asking for that raise, immediately your mindset switches to being very bold, being creative, seeing all kinds of opportunities. And in fact, when you not only visualize me, your friend Mel Robbins, asking for that raise that you want, when you give me advice, you're super enthusiastic. You're like, Mel, you should go for it. And I bet in your life, you have probably told friends or loved ones, you should ask for more money. And you mean it because you're visualizing them. But you yourself won't visualize yourself doing that. You talk yourself out of it. We've all had this experience. You yourself are probably sitting there going, you're right, Mel. I constantly tell my friends, you deserve more. You should break up with that jerk. Do. You should go for it. But when it comes to yourself, you see the excuses and doubt. So I want you to leverage not only this common sense, but this research to your advantage when it comes to manifesting. Pick what you want. And then if your mind goes blank when it comes to seeing yourself do the work, literally just insert your friend Mel Robbins or insert anybody that you love. In fact, I got a story about this. Years and years ago, this would have been, 20 years ago. At the time, I was a life coach and I had a really small little practice here in Boston. And I went to a seminar that Oprah Winfrey had here at the Boston Convention Center. It was part of her Live Your Best Life tour. And I went to the seminar because I thought, well, this would be a great place to land life coaching clients, right? You got thousands of women at the convention center who all want to improve your life. So I can go and I can network, and who knows, I might meet some amazing women and meet some amazing business partners and land some clients. So I'm sitting in the audience and, the DJ starts playing the music and everybody gets out of their chairs and we all start dancing around with our name tags on. And then all of a sudden the DJ dies down the music and we all settle down and this woman walks onto stage. Now, I didn't recognize this woman. I didn't have my program in my hand, so I had no idea who it was. I had never seen her before. I had never heard her before. When they announced her name, not a clue. All I knew was when she started talking, something inside me was like, zzz, energetically, something shifted. I bet you've had those moments where you're like, boom, you know that something is meant for you. You just feel pulled toward. Like you can have this experience with a piece of clothing, with a house, with a puppy, with a person, with an experience, with a place. Well, this woman walks on stage and I had this energetic shift that was like, and I immediately felt my body go, you need to be doing that. But what I saw was she's on a stage. She's clearly an author. She's making people laugh. She's inspiring. Oh my gosh, she's a life coach? Well, this person I'm talking about is none other than Martha Beck. I didn't know her at the time, but she's an international best-selling author. She writes for O Magazine. She was clearly speaking on a stage. And guess what? She was Oprah's designated life coach. And so I have this energetic shift where I'm like, I want to be doing that. I want to go from just coaching individual clients to having an impact on a much bigger scale. Now, keep in mind, at the time, I have only been coaching people for 2 or 3 years. I've never given a speech. I had never written an article in a magazine. I didn't have a book. I didn't know how to do any of those things. But I went home from that seminar and I sat down and I cracked open my journal and I'm like, I want to speak on stages. I want to write things for magazines. I want to write a book. I want to impact millions of people. I want to do what Martha Beck is doing. I didn't know how to do any of it. And so I developed this simple tool. Now, little did I know, I was just instinctively leveraging the power of objectivity. Since I didn't know what to do, and I also didn't know who to ask, because 20 years ago, I didn't know a single person that had published a book. I didn't know anybody that wrote for magazines. I didn't know anybody that spoke on stages for a living, and I certainly didn't know anybody that knew Oprah. So I didn't even have anybody that I could ask. There weren't as many articles online, so it's not like I could blog. YouTube was not really a thing, so it's not like I could watch videos. I mean, do you know how lucky you are to be able to research all this stuff? I was just me, Mel Robbins, with a handful of clients here in Boston, now inspired to do what Martha Beck's doing, with no clue how to go from here to there. I didn't know the steps. So I came up with this little tool. It's so funny when I think about it now. Do you want to know what the tool was? What would Martha Beck do? That was it. Well, what would Martha Beck do? Because I figured Mel Robbins had never done any of those things, but Martha Beck had. So in any moment where I didn't know what I should do, I just figured I would ask myself, well, what would Martha Beck do? And I kind of thought that maybe if I acted like she acted, maybe I would eventually start to steer my life in the direction that her life was headed in terms of writing books and standing on stages 20 years ago. So I was leveraging the power of objectivity. So this is what happened. A couple weeks go by and nothing miraculous happens in my life. And I get an email and I'm up late and I'm working on something and this email comes in. And the email is from a friend of mine who works in New York. Hadn't seen her in a while, but she knew that I was a life coach. And I noticed that she was forwarding a PR request from Inc. magazine. And Kate wrote to me, "Hey Mel, not sure if you're still life coaching, but see below. Someone is writing an article about life coaching for Inc. magazine. Thought you may be interested in applying." So I scroll down and I immediately start to read the email. Now there were a couple things that jumped out immediately, right? Number one, the PR request was over a month old. Number two, the deadline had already passed for submissions to be featured in the article. Number three, I had none of the credentials that they were looking for life coaches. Number four, I had none of the types of clients that they were looking for. Now, thinking about it from Mel Robbins' point of view, my mind got very cautious and I started to focus on all the minutia. I'm too late. I'm not qualified. I've missed the deadline. They're never going to pick me. Self-doubt started to creep in. Just like it's happening for you when you manifest right now. Your mind is going blank. You're full of doubt, which is why you can't see the steps. I, in that moment, asked myself, well, I know what Mel Robbins would do. Mel Robbins would hit delete and go on with her evening. But what would Martha Beck do? The second I leveraged the power of objectivity and I imagined her in the situation that I was in, my mind got more creative, it got bolder, it got more energized, I saw possibility. I literally said to myself, well, what have I got to lose? Martha Beck would probably just respond. And so I did. I just freeformed the thing and wrote this long email, and then hit send. Do you know the very next morning, the person that had sent the inquiry out wrote me back and said, I've already finished the article. I was about to submit it, but I was so taken with your email that I'd love to come up to Boston and follow you around for a day and include you in the article. And it was that article, which published about 5 months later, that caught the attention of a bunch of people in the media business in New York. And that's what caused this major pivot that happened in my career. Honest to God, it was the power of objectivity and simply asking myself, what would Martha Beck do? So, super common to feel super stuck when you know what you want, but you can't visualize yourself taking those steps because you're thinking cautious. Your self-doubt is consuming you. You are insecure in your ability to actually do those things, so you can't even embrace the visualization of yourself doing it. Simple. Insert someone else. And you can always pick your friend Mel Robbins. Let's just say that you are really inspired to get into home renovations and buying and flipping houses. And let's just say you've always dreamt of doing this and you watch the home improvement networks like it's your job and you just love everything about real estate and flipping houses, but you'd never done it. And so when you go to visualize it, you don't even know where to start. Just insert Mel Robbins. What would Mel Robbins do? I guarantee you the second you visualize me in there, you're going to be like, oh, well, Mel Robbins would start studying it. Mel Robbins would take a course on it. Mel Robbins would ask people about it. Mel Robbins would start going to open houses. Mel Robbins would take a class about it. Mel Robbins would talk to people who are doing it. You will immediately be able to see all of the things that I would do because your mind, when you leverage the power of objectivity, gets bold, gets creative, gets enthusiastic. Now what you're going to do is you see me doing the work, right? You're now going to insert yourself next to me. And you're going to see me going, oh, hey, I'm so glad you're here because I could use your help. I want you to take this class with me. And you know what we're going to do this weekend? You and I are going to go to open houses. And you know what we're going to do next weekend? You and I are going to sit down and watch YouTube tutorials on how you get started in this business. And you know what we're going to do the following weekend? You and I are going to read blogs about how you can get financing for doing this. And you know how we're going to do this weekend? And I will walk you step by step in your visualization in doing it. And you visualizing yourself next to me will jumpstart your mind into being bolder, more enthusiastic, more creative. And that, my friend, is the simple trick that you can use in order to leverage the power of objectivity to get unstuck and unblocked when you start manifesting and get yourself moving toward your dreams?
I 1,000% believe in manifesting, but a lot of us are doing manifesting wrong, where you create a vision board about the big vision. And what research shows is that simply having the beach house or the marathon finish line on your vision board is actually demotivating. Because what starts to happen for people is you see the thing that you want and you start to feel further and further and further away from it. And so, yes, you should have big dreams. And yes, you should write them down every day. And yes, you should do that because you have a filter in your brain that I'm teaching you to use and to program, that will change in real time based on what you tell it is important. But the most important part of manifesting is activating something in your brain called the Zeigarnik effect, or the Zeigarnik effect. And that is for you to pick the beach house. Or let's use a marathon, because a marathon is a really simple metaphor that everybody understands. Let's say you want to check off a bucket list item and you want to complete a marathon, which is 26.2 miles. Yes, put the finish line up. Yes, put the race bib up. Yes, put up all these things that show you what it feels like to accomplish the goal. But if you really want to get it done, also put on that board a photo of somebody running in the rain. Also put on that board a photo of an alarm clock that says 5:13 a.m.
The reality.
Also put up the reality. And then when you're manifesting and you're thinking about crossing that finish line, don't stay on the finish line. Think about what it's going to be like in February when you're on mile 11 on a training run and your earbuds run out and it starts to rain and you see yourself continuing to run. And when you manifest and visualize and allow yourself to feel that moment, the moment in between, the work that gets you there, you want a business of your own, manifest late nights, manifest the text where you say, sorry, I got to stay in and work on something, can't come to the party. Manifest you being told no, manifest the thing getting canceled, manifest picking up the phone again, because what you're doing is you're socializing your nervous system and your brain and your heart and your soul to do the work and to not stop when all of the things that happen that come into your way will eventually believe. And this is a way to cultivate something that I'm going to teach you how to do, which is to have a high five attitude. A high five attitude is simply the belief that if you continue to work hard, if you stay optimistic, if you give up your timeline through optimism, through hard work, you can figure it out. Things will work out how they're meant to work out. You can make a difference through your attitude and your effort on anything. That's a high five attitude, that no matter what's going on around you.
Do you believe in pessimism and optimistic personalities, or do you believe that pessimism and optimism are a choice? Like, because some people have come from a land of no, and is that learned, or is that something you have to work towards, the land of knowers who
depends on the baby's first word.
I think it's an excellent question. And I believe optimism is a skill that everybody needs to practice and learn, because all the studies show that when you have a more positive outlook, and I believe in realistic optimism, that doesn't mean toxic positivity. It doesn't mean that you can put a nice brush stroke on really shitty problems that people face, from poverty to racism to discrimination to all these things that are real. You may be facing a death in your family. You may have a heartbreak. Somebody may have cheated. Like, this shit is real.
Yeah.
But here's the difference that an optimistic or high five attitude has. When you become pessimistic, the obstacles magnify and your belief in yourself diminishes. When you start to, again, high five yourself in that mirror. And here's the thing, especially if you're going through a challenging time, you need it more than ever. Because when you raise the hand and you go to high five yourself, right when somebody just said, I'm sorry, I don't love you anymore, I've fallen in love with your best friend, the high five is also an acknowledgement that this fucking sucks. I see you. I see that this sucks. And it's also in the same time saying, and you know what? You're going to be okay. I got you. I got your back.
We don't watch a marathon, right? If you're a spectator at a marathon, you don't stand at mile 8 and go, you're not done yet. I'm not cheering for you right now. Loser. Look at that split time for that half mile. Like you don't do that. You freaking high five and cheer for the runners every step of the way because it's what keeps them going. You see, we have bought into this lie that you got to hit the number on the scale before you're going to celebrate yourself. You have to have the money in the bank account. You have to have the right relationship. You got to be where you're supposed to be and drive the right car and have the right house and have the right friend group before you will celebrate yourself. I'm here to tell you it's the opposite.
Right.
You actually need to show up every day and give yourself the support. If you can drag your ass out of bed after these last 18 months and you're still breathing and you're still trying to do a little bit better, you not only deserve a high five, you need one. And one more thing about our kids, we can bolster our kids all you want. You want to know, there's so much too in this book about parenting, because I've got a ton of stories about parenting mistakes I've made, ways I've like plummeted my kids' esteem, things that are heartbreaking, like chapter, as I was writing this book, chapter 4, I get a text from one of our daughters. How do I not feel like the ugliest girl at the bar every time I go out? You want to know something as a mom? I can't change that. Only she can. If I stand in front of the mirror and say, but you're beautiful, but you're loyal, but you're an amazing human being, but you're funny, but you're this, and you will meet somebody, you just haven't met the right, but she can't even hear it because it's not what she says to herself. So the reason why you have to make this a habit to stand before yourself, the human being, and see the human being in that body and recognize that you're sad, or recognize that you're beating yourself up, or recognize that you're not where you need to be. And then raise your hand and say, I hear it. And you know what? I still love you. I still support you. I'm still here for you. Only she can change that for herself.
Yeah.
I can provide tools. I can provide a nutritionist.
Totally.
I can provide a psychologist, but your children and you, they got to do the work themselves. And so this
Mel,
is a tool that will help them do it.
There's something that happens between, young children, because I have a 5-year-old who can't look in the mirror, or 6-year-old who can't see herself, right? Because she's not tall enough to look in all the mirrors. And so she's not looking at herself constantly. And I would say all of our kids when they were younger just love themselves so much, right? They think they're beautiful and strong and
best singers, best dancers.
Yeah, like my hair is amazing, like I am beautiful. And there's something that happens with comparisons when they begin to, although she's obsessed with her older sister, but there's this thing that they have this confidence. And somehow, if we can think about that as adults, that we have, at one point we were madly in love with ourselves, because that's what young children do. They're madly in love with themselves, and then you lose it. So you had it, and then something happened for you to begin to lose it. So you can be inspired by the children around us, because that person hasn't changed. That person has just been told to not love themselves like that child has loved them. So it's going back to that original, there's so much beauty in that toddler, or that 5-year-old who walks down in their tutu, and everyone's looking at them and they're like, look at me, and we stop saying that. We say, don't look at me. There's a shift.
You're exactly right. Well, you want to know the good news? The good news is all that is wired into your DNA.
Yes.
Life made you doubt it. And so this is a way to get back to who you really are. And that doesn't mean you're arrogant. It doesn't mean that you're selfish. It means that of every human being on the planet, you realize you're the one person you go through life with, and that your relationship with yourself is the foundation of every relationship that you have. Because if you don't love yourself, you will never believe that somebody else truly loves you, and you'll continue to sabotage that relationship. If you are insecure with the person you see in the mirror, you will behave in insecure ways out in the world. It starts with you.
Expect your relationships to fill that. I think a lot of obviously people have to read this book, because I think it's going to help so many people, like you said. and we have been taking up so much of your time, but I want to ask one last question, which
Yeah.
is a lot of women, when we talk about manifesting or believing in themselves, their partner or spouse will be the first one to, kind of knock them down or be like, this is the dumb, like, what are you doing? This is so dumb. Or, when they begin to find themselves, it's a really nervous feeling for the
Yeah.
partner, and it can rock their relationship. Any advice? We did a kind of like a dream, what was it, like a live where people came in and they're like, I can't show my husband or my partner when we did the vision boarding. I could never show them because they would just like laugh at me for it. I'm too embarrassed to show them. I guess you just work on yourself, and you when your partner sees
Well, let
you
me give you a
changing, and
perspective check, okay, on this, okay? First of all, it's super normal. That doesn't necessarily mean you need to end the relationship. It's super normal
okay,
to have the people closest to you not cheer for you and not celebrate you. And there's a reason why. And I'm going to tell you a quick story. I think I write about this in the book. So there was a period of time after Chris's restaurants failed that he stopped drinking completely and started to get, himself whole again. And I remember very distinctly when that happened, I was cooking and I went to pour myself a glass of wine. And I noticed I felt self-conscious that I was about to have a big glass of wine and he was drinking water. And so I immediately did what your husbands and partners are doing. I was like, oh, come on, just have a glass of wine. Why do you need to be sober? Like I started sabotaging and undermining the changes he wanted to make in his life. Why? I'll tell you why. Because his changes made me confronted about what I was doing. And so Chris turned to me and he said, Mel, I don't want a glass of wine. If you want to have a glass of wine, great, have a glass of wine. And then he said this, nobody cares about what's in your cup except for you. So if you don't like what's in your cup, stop barking about what's in mine and focus on what should be in yours. And so keep in mind that any change that you're making is confronting to somebody who's not changing.
Right.
You have got to keep showing up and cheering for yourself. And this is especially true for women because we've been socialized to believe that our worth is determined by whether or not somebody else approves or somebody else loves us. You got to be able to look in the mirror,
Yes,
see a human being that you love, and to see a human being whose choices make you proud. And if everybody else has a problem with that, they need to deal with that with their therapist. And the more that you do this, the more you'll be able to express boundaries and the more you'll be able to make requests. And the stronger that you get, knowing that you have your own back and you're really confident in who you are, the more that your marriage will change because you're changing. And it's my hope that it changes for the better. But the fact of the matter is, as long as you are taking responsibility for your own happiness and your own sense of worth and your own sense of value as a human being, if that doesn't improve the relationship that you're in to show up as a better you, you're not in the right relationship.
I totally agree.
Julia, we're getting a lot of these questions. What do I do when I don't know my dreams and therefore I cannot visualize them? We did a training on visualization. I believe it was January 1st. We're changing the title on YouTube and Facebook to make sure that you know that it's about visualization. Mandy and Danielle, will you give me a thumbs up if you got that request and if that is in motion today? I believe it is January 1st. And rewatch the visualization training. And if you don't have a dream, I actually don't think that's true. Oh, awesome. It has been changed. Well done. So the title of it will have visualization in it. It is January 1st. Watch it. I explain the science of visualization. It's a fascinating video. And it will change the urgency with which you view the need to start visualizing. So I don't believe that you don't know your dreams.
I think you've gotten so down and so resigned, or maybe your life has changed and you're a new widow, or you have lost a job and you feel a little beaten down, or you're broken up, and you don't believe in your ability to make your dreams come true. So I'm going to give you a couple prompts. What's one place that you've always wanted to travel? That is something that you can visualize. Visualize what you would do, where you would go. I did that for my trip to Tanzania for almost 10 years. For almost 10 years, I literally would visualize spending my 50th birthday with my family in Tanzania on safari and being able to write the check. So think about a place you've always wanted to travel. Another thing that you could do is think about what your life would look like if you were proud of how healthy you are. What would you be eating? Who would you be hanging out with? What would you be doing? Another way that you can jumpstart visualization is you can think about somebody's life that you admire and insert yourself into it and start visualizing yourself doing that. You can, if you're like Nicole, and every one of you that raised your hand and said, yeah, I have limiting beliefs, and so I do this sabotaging behavior, you can use visualization to simply visualize what it would look like to have a day where you are completely in control of your decisions. What does it look like when you wake up? What do you feel when you wake up? What do you eat for breakfast? What are you doing in the middle of the day? Who are you hanging out with? What are you doing at night that energizes you, that makes you happy? Visualize yourself going to bed, feeling proud of what you did. And maybe it's just that today you didn't buy anything you didn't need. Today you didn't veer off of the eating program that you are following so you can become a healthy eater. Today you interrupted every single negative thought. It doesn't have to be something massive. It can just be that you made it through the day in a way that makes you feel empowered. That's how I would jumpstart it. Because the thing about visualization, everybody, is these are new skills. It's like learning how to do a cartwheel for the first time. You're not going to master it in the beginning. You don't have to do 50 cartwheels in a row. You're learning the fundamentals and the science behind it. And if you go back to January 1st and you watch the video about the two-step process, you visualize it very specifically, and you allow yourself to feel the positive emotions of happiness, of pride, of feeling satisfied with what you've done. You allow that emotion to go through your body as you're visualizing yourself going through your day, or you're visualizing yourself on safari, or you're visualizing your first book being completed. That is the science behind it. And so you're practicing it as a skill. And look, you may visualize something for a week and then be like, you know what? I don't want to visualize that anymore. I want to visualize something else. Hey, it's Mel. Thank you so much for checking this video out. And if you like this one, I have a feeling you're going to like this one too. I'll see you there.